G'day there. Welcome to the closing bell on the 31st of July. Last week, the market did not move at all yet again. An attempted rally early in the week and a bit of a sell-off late in the week. We've had 9 weeks now of the market doing absolutely nothing in the big picture, really. It is pretty dead out there. But there are a few things happening beneath the surface. We had the quarterly results have been in full swing, of course. We've had stocks flying all over the place, a few stocks sent to the naughty bin, and I'll show you a couple of those in a second. But, you know, the infotech sector is the one that I'm looking at. I sent you an update a couple of weeks ago showing you that infotech index and saying, look, it's looking a little bit toppy. So I thought I'd show that to you today. As well as Afterpay really coming off the boil, which I think is one of the main causes there. Also, I wanted to have a look at nickel. I think nickel is looking like it's about to blast off. We've got lithium and rare earths really flying. Just have a look at Orocobre or Linus, etc. Really taking off to the upside now. But nickel looks like it's about to break out and have a pretty serious rally itself. So all of those battery metals really starting to pick up as people realize that the EV sales are really starting to take off. And this next 5-10 years is going to see a pretty huge shift. So I think there's still some pretty big opportunities out there. So let's just have a look at that Infotech index to start off. You can see here with this Infotech index, I was showing you a few weeks ago that it was looking a bit toppy. This is the weekly chart going back, you know, to the crash, the COVID crash low. And we've had a huge rally to the upside in Infotech, obviously following in the footsteps of the NASDAQ that has taken off to the upside with yields dropping so massively. So we've really topped out early in the year. And I've been saying there's been a lot of selling going on, a lot of profit taking going on in many sectors, not just Infotech, since the start of the year. So even though the index looks like it's flying, the ASX 200, really beneath the surface, it's been pretty tough out there. And there's been a lot of stocks just drifting or selling off, quite frankly. And just the thing I want you to focus on is the fact that we're starting to see what is looking like the beginning of a possible downtrend here. There's a lot of resistance and we really haven't taken out that high from early February. And there's been a lot of selling pressure coming in, even though, you know, there's a lot of buying pressure based on that huge uptrend. So it really is caught between a rock and a hard place at the moment. But we just are seeing signs at the moment of the tech sector starting to look like it is rolling over. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to have a bit of a sell-off and then bounce back nice and hard sometime soon. But just got to be a little bit wary out there, I think, at the moment. If we have a look at Afterpay, you can see that that is really starting to turn down pretty hard. We've got the high made in Afterpay up around 160 bucks, and it's had a bit of a sell-off at the start of the year, but a really strong bounce back from below $90 to back above 130. And here it is cracking back below the 10-month moving average again, going back below 100 and going to possibly retest that major low there from a few months ago. So could be interesting if we do see prices busting below that low. And that is around $81. So, you know, under 80 bucks, and APT is looking like it might have a bit further to fall. Another tech stock that has been struggling is Whisper. They came out with their quarterly result, and this really is giving you a sense of what's going on in the market. You think we're at all-time highs, but having a look at Whisper, you wouldn't think so, would you? They topped out in August last year and have really been trending down ever since and really struggling to get traction. And they've just had their quarterly result. This is the weekly chart, and you can see they've been hit, and they were down 11% on Friday, and they're looking like they're going to possibly bust below the low of the whole move for the last few months. So looking a bit dangerous there. So, there is a few stocks out there that are not looking that crash hot, quite frankly. But if we just have a look at nickel and, the whole battery metal theme, of course, has been done to death. Everyone knows all about it. But I just want to bring your attention to the long-term nickel chart and how it's looking. And it's looking like it's fairly close to a pretty strong breakout. And the next level above here is about 20-30% higher. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if it does actually break out. And now this chart, a monthly chart going back to 2009, you can see there. So initially, I just wanted to show you that old major low from 2009. And look, the way prices often move is in a bear market, it'll go and break below, massive old major lows, and a big false break of that low is often the beginning of the next bull market. And it really has been rallying for quite a few years, nickel, since 2016, even though it's been a long drawn out affair. But you can see, I'll just get it up nice and close for you so you can see it. If we trace out this rally from those lows, you can see it's a really nice steady uptrend. We've got higher highs and higher lows just marching along there. And we've just recently had a little false break of the high. It tested the high of the move from the last 4 or 5 years recently and had a bit of a pullback, which is basically to the midpoint of the most recent wave. And now here we are really racing higher, going to test the high of the whole move. We're getting very close to it now. And as lithium and rare earths are really taking off to the upside, I think it is only a matter of time until nickel busts out above that high. And the reason why I think it's interesting is usually with prices, what happens when they turn around, they will have a few waves where it's really struggling. We have the initial wave higher and a big retracement, which would be down into the buy zone, you can see there, which is a 75 to 87.5% retracement of the wave. And that will usually happen a couple of times before it can really get going. So it's usually once you've seen 2 of those, you're starting to get a bit excited that it might be ready for a really big wave to the upside. Now, in the case of nickel, that didn't happen. And we saw a 3rd wave to the upside and then another big pullback into the buy zone. So it's really getting long in the tooth, this slow, drawn out rally since 2016. And it may be getting close to accelerating. And if we're looking at the other battery metal stocks, I mean, why wouldn't you think that's the case? And the breakout above this high, really, there's not going to be much resistance. So we could actually see a good, strong trend in the nickel price, really heading back to the high that we saw back in 2014, 2015, which is up around 23 bucks. So nickel currently at about $18.50. So, you're looking at upwards of 30% move that could be on the cards here for nickel. And, there's a couple of interesting little stocks out there, Panoramic Resources, BSX, WSA, of course, that are looking pretty interesting for more upside. So I just thought I'd take you through that one quickly because really, other than that, there's not that much interesting going on out there. But yeah, the battery metal stocks really flying, and maybe you've missed the boat on a few of them if you're not already on. But that nickel price looking like there may be quite a bit more in it. So that's probably enough for this week. If you're interested in checking out what I'm up to, click on the links below the video. I run the Australian Small Cap Investigator Service and also Pivot Trader. And I will come back with more next week. All right, cheers.